Alrighty, we've got 1 o'clock here. We'll call the PUC meeting to order. Let the record show all commissioners are in attendance. We have an approval before us.
I approve the agenda as it stands.
I approve, or second, whichever.
Perfect. Any discussion? All right, we'll approve the agenda as shown. Public comment?
But you should say all in favor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All in favor of approving the agenda as indicated?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Public comment. Doesn't look like we have anybody here, so we will move past that. Consent agenda. We have everything indicated there. Everyone's had a chance to review. Anybody have anything they'd like to discuss and or pull off of that consent agenda?
All look good to me.
If so-
Motion to accept.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Motion carries. Reports. We have all the reports in there. Anybody have a chance to look at it? Anybody have any questions, concerns, discussion points?
The only concern I had is on them chargers.
Yes.
Is there another company, or we're pretty much, there's probably only one company?
No, they're the ones who put it in. And Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong, Kathy has been communicating with Zeph. They're hoping to get us payment this week.
Okay.
Is that correct? Yes.
I mean, that be named the $19.20.
And I will also say it's not just us. The rest of the SIPA membership is experiencing. We're actually doing better than some of the other SIPA members.
With the same vendor?
Yeah. Well, SIPA's the one who orchestrated the whole deal.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it's there.
All right. Do we need a motion to approve these? Or?
I believe so.
Not for reports.
Not for reports. Okay, if not, all right. We'll move on to the regular agenda. Anything from Nick Taylor, our city council liaison?
Nothing major other than what's on the agenda, but I was at the HRA's annual meeting and they had two questions that just came up in relation to working with the utility. One of them was the EV chargers. They were curious where you got them and what you think of them, and I think that was just commented on. So I don't know that they're gonna clamor for that, but I mean, I can relate back to them that SIMPA coordinated it. Is there anyone that they could reach out to that would know more about if they wanted to get an EV charger?
Who is it?
So the HRA, the Oaks, is a housing redevelopment authority within the city. And so
Over here in the buildings.
yeah, so they have a board. They're like one of the boards, but they're a federally funded program that the city just has to kind of coordinate with, but doesn't really fund or do any work per se with. But I just have been connecting with them monthly and relaying back to the city any updates that they have. And so they were curious about EV chargers for their residents, and because they had to do the budget for the year, and that was one thing they were thinking about, was getting an EV charger.
So in regards to the ones that we have, and again, Kathy, jump in if I misremember, but the DC fast charger is not operable, correct, at the moment. So we have had some reliability issues, and then payments have not been timely.
Right.
For the people who are using it. If the Oaks doesn't care about that and they just want to have a charger, that obviously simplifies things.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different vendors out there, and in addition, I think you can usually find some different grant programs for nonprofits and things like that. And they might have connections with others as well. And that has been a bit of a tumultuous industry the last few years anyway.
Yeah.
I would recommend shopping around.
Sure.
trying to say.
That's fair. I think they were just wondering if you had like an inn or something. And,
No,
yeah.
no.
The other thing was apparently some of the residents are kind of forming their own garden. I don't know that it's necessarily facility approved, but I think they were inquiring if there was any program, since they're a nonprofit, where maybe the utility could work with them on maybe a deal on some water that they use or a break on that or something. And so they wanted me to reach out about that.
I mean, so ultimately, at the end of the way we do it here in town is two different ways of doing it, which is you can just run the irrigation off of the building.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, you know, for example, in the city, what they do for the sewer calculations is they use the winter averages to take out the irrigation stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just pay that higher tiered rate during the summer when usage goes up. You could do a separate irrigation line if you needed to come off the main. Realistically, though, the infrastructure for that's going to be pretty pricey.
Right.
And
I think
don't-
they were curious because the facility itself didn't want to support that additional usage and garden that wasn't approved. And so they were wondering if the residents could, I think, be charged for.
The cheapest alternative for them would be if they would just put in their own meter, sub-meter it themselves,
Okay.
and then they could reimburse the building back for
Mhm.
it. We don't handle sub-metering because it gets way complicated and lots of reasons. But there's no reason why a customer couldn't sub-meter it. So if they wanted to pull it off the building, pop in their own meter,
Mhm.
and then just once a month read it like we used to do in the old days.
Yeah.
Read the
Go
dial,
up
just do the math, and then the residents could contribute into that. If the feds would allow something like that, but they're not usually the easiest to
Sure.
work with on new ideas.
Any tips on normally how someone would look into sub-metering or where to start with that?
Local plumber?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, local plumber could just plumb that in for them or set that up for them, and then they just, everything else after that point would just be internal. It'd be all their stuff.
Yep.
But they could put a meter in and just read it and kind of take that usage off of what was going to the garden specifically.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. And that was all for that. The rest is already on the agenda, and I'm sure you'll have questions or comments for me, and I'll do my best on that.
Okay. Thank you, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Next on the regular agenda, ECA adjustment.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'll take this one. Just trying to get to the report. In your packets, memorandum 26-16. I mentioned this at some prior meetings. We did have a major weather event called Winter Storm Fern that happened, was that late January? February sometime. The result of that is LMPs, the local marginal pricing on the electrical sale market went through the roof. There was just some supply and demand problems that were going on as folks were trying to get through that. We ran a tremendous number of hours at the same time, which shows you the situation we were in. And SIPA ended up having to pay a higher wholesale cost than what they had budgeted for. This is the reason why they have their ECA. They passed that through to the members. You can see February in particular was high. In the way the board had set up that program with the support of the members was if it got too high, it would be capped at 2 cents per kilowatt hour, which is what happened in February. SIPA actually ended up using up some of their cash reserves as well to keep March from also hitting 2 cents per kilowatt hour. So SIPA's been doing some, but we have taken a hit on that. You can see the starting fund balance for the rate stabilization account has dropped by almost $250,000. This is important to note because, well, first I would just want to keep the commission informed. The second is under the cap plan, the overall cap plan that we had put together. We were anticipating using some of the rate stabilization fund to probably help for phase 3, which is in a couple of years from now. But you can see that the fund has been decreasing. Enough to a point where I wanted to bring the commission's attention to see if we want to try to replenish that fund, bring that back up a little bit. I made some just very gross assumptions. If I just use 2025 actual sales for the remainder of the year, and we wanted, and the commission wanted to have that rate stabilization fund end at the same spot in which it began for 2026. We would need to charge an ECA rate of a little over 7 mils, 7/10 of a cent for the remainder of the year. Although I did do a couple of other options for the commission to consider. The rate stabilization fund under the commission's fiscal policy is it needs to be, we have a bandwidth anywhere from 100,000 to I think 1.5 million. So we're within the bandwidth, but the trend going downward and knowing the phase 3 stuff coming up in a few years, I thought warranted a discussion and getting some direction from the commission. Again, I put a couple different options together. There's nothing magical about any of them. The assumption does assume that SIMPA's ECA nets 0 for the remainder of the year, which may or may not happen. There's no way for me to predict that. We do record that in the cash reserves sheet that's in your packet every month, so that you can keep an eye on that as well. But what I'm looking for is, what I'm seeking is some direction from the commission as to that fund balance and what the commission would like to do about it, if anything.
Again, the benchmarks you said are from 100,000 on the low end to
1.5.
1.5. Okay,
Correct. And the reason we had lowered it to 100,000 was because of in anticipation of paying for phase 3 of the cap plan with cash, not have to bond for it. So we knew we were going to deplete that, use that up.
Okay, thank you.
How much does an average customer use? If we go to option A, the worst one, not the worst one, maybe the best one, but what would the average customer get? $10 a month? Or
Well,
$5 a month? $2 a month?
Yeah, and you know me, my engineer brain is doing crazy math right now. Let me just put it this way. The summer rate for residential customers is 13.73 cents. We're talking about
We're asking for less than.
Yeah, so 13.7, if you took the option A, 13.73 would go to 14.45. So, I mean, it's less than, yeah.
Versus what, 1410,
Yeah,
if you look at B?
correct.
What was that, Rick? I'm sorry.
First, instead of the 14.45, I'm guessing if we went with B, it'd be like 1410,
Okay.
Yeah,
because it's almost in half.
correct.
So I just took his number and split.
Sure.
Yeah. In watching some of our peers, especially through Winter Storm Fern, I was seeing ECAs between 4 mils and 6 mils. So if we went with a 3 mil just to get to 1.1, and then if the ECA, SIMPA still ended up charging an ECA to us for the remainder of the year, and we had to spend another 100,000, and we end the year at $1 million on the rate stabilization.
You'd be happy.
I'm feeling good about. I mean, it feel better than sitting at 750,000, 800,000. That I would start to get nervous about that.
But we still want some of this for plan 3.
Correct.
So if you do option A, we'd be setting up a lot better position for that and not have to do another rate increase back. That could be even more.
Yes, my crystal ball is kind of cloudy at the moment. I think the 3 mils is manageable. I mean, that's very common. We see that a lot. You start pushing 7 mils and it gets to be quite a bit.
Okay.
I think if we can at least stop the bleeding, and then wait until we get into budget planning and rate discussions at the end of the year. Because the other thing that's coming up, and I mentioned this in my report, is we're gonna go out for bonding. We've delayed that because DGR wants to have our audit in order to do the cash flow analysis. By next month, I'm hoping to have a more detailed cash flow analysis, so we can look at what those potential rate increases are gonna be for the next 10, 15 years. So I hesitate to go too extreme one way or the other. I'd hate to, I mean, my opinion, I'd hate to not do anything because the balance has been decreasing. I don't know that we need to jump right to, we can't have any, we want to end the year exactly where we started. I think you're going to have some more tools to use when we get into the budget and rate discussions at the end of the year to tweak that better.
Okay.
So, but I think if you do, say, option B, you can at least keep that balance from dropping any further, regardless of what happens for the remainder of the year with SIMPA. And then you can have a very good discussion about what a rate increase for next year looks like, again, if any.
Are you looking for opinions? Or?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
How I look at this is option D isn't an option. Option C isn't much more of an improvement over D. If we're going to get really aggressive and put A back on the plate, I don't know that that's necessary since we have time. So my recommendation was option B.
Okay,
I'm good with B too.
and as am I.
That's a motion.
All right,
That's a second.
all right. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor of electing to enact option B?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. All right, next on the agenda is our joint meeting discussion. We have Keith's memo with a few items that he's considering and staff are considering, and then we have the email from Michelle with 6 items there. I was possibly thinking it might make sense to just start with each of the items listed there, maybe start with the cities first, and I guess just kind of determine what we think the flavor is between the 3 of us on each item, and then move on to the items that Keith has in his memo. That was kind of a game plan I thought of. What do you guys think?
That's fine. Can I start out?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we're down to
Number 1.
Yep.
Okay. This is going to be directed at Nick. Do we need number 1? Is there a particular reason why Michelle wanted to re-go over that for some guidelines or boundaries that we're supposed to stay within, or?
So, not long ago, there was conversation about meeting with Connexus for the city, and I had come in and talked about like the 5-member commission thing, and the discussion went to that if the city wants to meet, we should kind of go back, get our ducks in a row, and then come forward with a proposal. The reason for the meeting being when it's being requested for was because we wanted to do the Connexus meeting, but Mr. Edmonds had said we can't meet with Connexus without coming to you all first and getting your input. And so that was kind of where it originated versus in the past, correct me if I'm wrong, the meeting's usually more like August or further down the road when there is a joint meeting.
Historically, it's been anywhere between June and August.
Okay, so it's around that time, but it's kind of piecemeal and not, it's kind of rushed. But if we're wanting to meet and we feel there was sufficient time, and if you wanted to discuss the items, and that's what you would be agreeing upon, is if you want to meet together and kind of educate the relatively younger council on things like what your role is versus our role, how we interact, what decisions you would want to make in terms of if you want input on what we would ask when we meet with Connexus, things like that.
Do you see that what you just said is addressing number 1? What I'm looking at is this would include statutory authorities granted by the public utility. I'm reading this and taking it as who we are, what we are, and what our authority is. I don't know that that's grabbing anything with Connexus or anything myself.
Yeah, there wasn't a major mention in there, and then additionally, there was kind of like a rider near the end that in the past, we've typically met to talk about PFAS or capital plan stuff or other things. So
reason
yeah,
I'm
it's
getting
kind of
to this-
morphed into, instead of just meeting with you first about Connexus, it's morphed into being the annual meeting that we would typically have if we were to.
Don't get me wrong, I'm all for this meeting. I think it should be 2 a year until we get some of these things. I don't know that we need one, is my point.
A meeting at all?
No.
Oh,
Number
just
one.
Number one.
Number
Mhm.
one, what I'm looking forward to is that we're in the meeting,
Mhm.
okay? And is one important to discuss? That's my question.
Given my past little year and a half here or whatever, yeah,
Okay,
I would enjoy it.
okay, that's fine.
Because I would like to know, I'm sitting across somebody at this meeting and they know where their authority ends and I know where mine begins.
Okay, so let's keep that, it was just a question. I think that's
Mhm.
a good way to get through these if they're important or not, or comment on.
Mhm. Do we need any sort of,
Does it need to take over 2 hours in the meeting?
Well, looking at this and say we could get stuck on number one for 2 hours.
yes, we absolutely could. And
So-
that's a
And then
little bit my
We gotta
fear.
wait till next year to have another joint meeting.
I think the spirit of it is more in line with recent study sessions we've done, like Robert's Rules of Order or Council 101. I think we're looking at talking about social media, not the policy, but how council members can kind of interact online without violating policy or open meeting law or things like that. And so I think that one was more coming in with, here's the meat and potatoes of what the statutory authority is of each body, how we commingle with that,
Okay.
just informative.
Would you be looking for us to provide like a report on that? Or it's just literally going to be a discussion, you were thinking?
So that's, I think, where we would need to decide what it's going to be.
Yeah.
If it's staff for the utility that needs to put something together, if it's Michelle for different topics putting things together, or both, or even I think it's like, would a third party be helpful to bring in to have them provide a short presentation kind of thing.
Mhm.
So definitely nothing is set in stone. It was just proposed topics so far.
Okay, well, I would think, one, I think what we're hearing is it's worthwhile keeping it there, but in terms of what it is a little bit up in the air. I don't know if we, is that something maybe Keith and Michelle could discuss a little bit in terms of whether, possibly MMUA in or something like that? Would that help, do you think, possibly, Keith? Or?
No, all good questions. I don't know. I mean, once we start talking about statutory authorities, I start thinking attorneys, and having the city attorney present on that one might be the best way to do that.
Okay.
Because everything is covered under the specific statute as it relates to what the relationship is.
Mhm.
Since we're a statutory city here, I think, to be blunt, talking about the establishment and the history, I don't know that it matters. It's more of, I think what
Like your
Commissioner Jackson
website
said.
has videos and like text explaining.
Yeah, I think the question is more about, I think where it sounds like you're going with it is roles and responsibilities.
Mhm.
And those are dictated in statute.
Right.
Those are laws passed by our
Legislature.
representatives in St. Paul.
Mhm.
And I think a first blush at that, and I know Michelle has presented that information before to the city council. So I think if we start with her memo from last year where she talked about that, would be a good start, but that's probably more of a city attorney taking the first shot at it, and if there are different interpretations, then the commission at that time get a legal opinion from our attorney. But
So
since
like-
the city council is asking the question, I would start with the city attorney.
And I think there were some revisions for 2025 that maybe it would be good if there was something like that for an update to council or commission of, hey, this updated, here's what changed, kind of thing, when that happens.
Yeah, and I would look toward an attorney for that, to do the history, so. I think it's a good place to start, would be my suggestion.
If this is brought to the attorney, is he gonna get stuck right away and say, well, what subject matters or authority questions are we discussing for him to give an opinion? And that gets just muddy.
Oh, it absolutely can. I'm kind of keying off the second sentence, which is include the statutory authorities granted. That, to me, that's pretty clear in the statute, and I think that's kind of what you're asking for.
Yeah, I think for, and I can't speak for the whole council on this, but I think that would be the most beneficial is a primer for, like, if we get questions about the utility or why we're not doing something to, when the utility's doing something, it would be helpful if we at least had that background before we go into conversations or heated online debates kind of thing.
I think it would mean more to the city to have their representation provide that information. I worry that, I mean, if we brought our attorney in, there are some who might say, oh yeah, well, that's the utilities attorney, they're gonna say whatever they want. I mean, it happens. And so I think having, again, we're referencing specific statutory language. And Damien can pull out the histories of that through state websites.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to start. And then if there are different perspectives on it, then we can explore those after you have your primer from your attorney.
Reasonable?
I think that makes sense.
Okay. Let's move on to number 2. Review of various services paid and unpaid that the PPU staff provide the city. That,
So that's like our billing?
well, no, just the miscellaneous services we provide the cities, for instance, the
Yeah.
Christmas decorations and.
Yeah, if I could jump in.
Yeah.
Please.
Sure. I would actually combine 2 and 3 together. Every January, we provide a letter to the city council defining how the pilot payment was calculated, as well as the other ancillary services that have been provided. We can just reshare that letter and have a conversation on that. If that works.
Yeah, maybe just like if people have questions about what an item means, if you could expand kind of thing.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
So I think we just
Yeah,
reference
information
it.
out.
This is kind of an amalgamation of a request was made if there were things that the council wanted to meet with the utility commission on. And so I don't know who added what or why, but I think that makes sense of just kind of clarifying. I don't know if it's.
Because I think there are members on the council that don't understand how our pilot is derived at.
And that might be.
Yeah. And they want more of a guarantee that that's always going to be there or something.
I don't know if they're looking for a guarantee that it'll be there, but they might not exactly understand.
How we get it.
Maybe they don't even know payment in lieu of taxes or
Okay.
what the background is or like how the formula works or.
We sell more, we pay you.
Yeah, I think too that their concern is, do we get this money or don't we, and how do we plan if we do or don't?
Yeah.
Yeah, there were concerns, I guess not a guarantee, but that it's difficult to use it in budgeting if we don't know if it's coming or how much it's gonna be. I think.
So for 2 and 3, to me, that's all deja vu.
Mhm.
Because we did this 3-4 years ago. But I understand that the question for the need is because you have new council people.
Mm.
So if you have, if you have that information.
Yeah.
that's-
Well, like I said, I think we just share the January report,
Yeah.
use that to start the conversation, and see where it goes.
All right, 2 and 3, okay on that?
Okay.
Okay. Number 4, discussion on the service territory acquisition process.
appreciate that before too.
Yes. I mean, I can speak generically to what it was. It's the same process as we followed with when the city annexed township property to the north, and we serve East Central Energy. I mean, it's a long, cumbersome process. But yeah,
Maybe we can just share a little bit what the process looks like. I mean, obviously, we're in the middle of it. We're in negotiations, so it's not something that's set in stone. And also maybe share with the council members that if the numbers don't work at the end of the negotiations, if we're looking at big rate hikes for the users here in town or the businesses in the acquisition territory, we'll consider bailing from the whole project. So, but yeah, maybe just a brief discussion as to how it works and how it's worked in the past. We can't guarantee it's going to work like that again because we don't know how the negotiations are going to come out.
It's a different company.
Are they asking the question how the industrial park acquisition is working, or a general question on how does the overall acquisition process take?
I read this as a generic.
Generic.
That's how I'm reading it.
Yeah, but you're somewhat directed more to the industrial park
Mhm.
at the
Because
current.
that's the lot.
Okay.
Is it
Yeah.
possible to get some kind of update on that in relation to the general explanation of the process?
We're in the middle of negotiations, so that would not be advised.
Okay.
Okay, with that said, I need to be the new kid on the block here because I'm not aware of any negotiations. I'm not familiar with any position of this commission.
Because there's some things we don't want to say in a public forum either, right?
That's why I'm requesting a special, or
So, just so we're all using the same definition, a special meeting means a meeting out of cycle.
Mhm.
okay,
A closed meeting, you can have a closed meeting in a special meeting or a closed meeting in a regular meeting. It's just when is it? So if you're asking for a special meeting, that means out of cycle. Means, because you guys meet once a month.
Mhm.
So that would mean something that's not been approved as your formal calendar.
And that would have to be publicly noticed and so forth.
Absolutely. You can take a regular meeting and do a closed session to talk about things that are allowed, that are exempted under the open meeting laws to talk about in a closed meeting.
Would this topic possibly be within that as far as you know?
As far as I know, it would, because it would be negotiations.
Mhm.
Okay.
I mean, it'd be the subject matter, for your pay. That was just the four of us. So this is requesting a meeting to discuss something. I know the city council has done it.
And we're back live.
So, I'm sorry, if I could, I just want to make sure I'm hearing things correctly. The meeting that Connexus is requested for the city council is to purchase Princeton Public Utilities. It is not about service territory changes. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page on this. There are two issues.
Is that correct?
Yeah, their previous overture is what we were wanting to get more information on.
Which is to buy the utility,
They had, yes,
the entire electric distribution.
Did the city get the letter that we got?
not originally.
You got it now.
Yes.
I guess
The one where
I don't know that they're
The
identical.
one that the one that Connexus said their offer.
We received contact, but I don't know that it wasn't an official letter.
I thought I read an email.
Yeah.
Yeah, an email.
I strongly feel that 4 and 5 should just be tabled when we meet with 1, 2, 3, and 6.
What are your thoughts on 4 and 5?
I think this council, before they meet with Connexus, should know their limitation on how they can sell the utility. Because there's new council members and stuff, and I don't know if they know that the process, what it takes to sell the utility.
We don't.
Well, we kind of do. I mean, we got to say yes. The council's got to say yes.
What's the price?
No, I'm saying the process. I'm back to the process. Not Connexus, just the process. The commission's got to say yes, the council's got to say yes, and the community's gotta say yes, right?
Yes.
So there's three entities that gotta say yes. One says no, it doesn't go. Right?
Mm-hmm. All three have to
So,
concur.
I mean, granted, the council might wanna get all the information they want to meet with Connexus,
Yeah,
but it's kinda,
the intent being we can ask questions.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because the
Because we
email,
can't.
we can't exactly have like everyone emailing, responding to each other and things like that. So,
Correct. It is kind of a tricky spot in that, again, we're in negotiations to acquire a service territory. And so there is a lot of muddled issues in terms of, you know, what Connexus's intent is with the purchase versus how it relates to the possibly how it relates to a service territory acquisition. It's kind of a muddle. It is difficult to really talk in terms of the specifics of that in that meeting because we're in negotiations a little bit, so it does get a little muddled. As chair here, we got to kind of figure out here where we want to go. Getting back to Rick's question about, you know, the previous council has voted to state, we passed a resolution that stated we weren't interested in selling the utility. So we did pass that resolution last year. Also, we did pass a resolution, or we passed, the resolution to move forward with the service territory acquisition negotiations. So those are both in process. So I do understand that you want to get up to speed. I'm just trying to think the best way we can get Rick up to speed with those two votes and what happened with those votes, whether we can do that with you explaining in a meeting where you can explain how those votes went down, or whether we need to have a closed session to the meeting to have those discussions.
Yeah.
I think there's two routes that could possibly get Rick up to speed with what's passed. What do you think on that?
I'm willing to do it either way. I mean, because I could see our closed meeting being very short, not lengthy, and I don't know do we have to have a 4-day notice of a closed meeting?
Whether it's closed or open. So if you do a special meeting, yes, we need to at least have 3 days to notice. If you do it during a regular meeting, that calendar's already been approved by the commission. It just gets noticed through our normal process.
Well, then it's up to Rick. Rick, do you feel comfortable maybe we can have you just meet with Keith first? And if you're still not comfortable, tell Keith that, and then we can have
The closed
Laurel,
session.
tell Nick, hey, we want to throw up the flag and have a short, if we gotta have a 3-day notice, we can still do it. And
Well, it's nice to, I wouldn't have any problem meeting with Keith, but it's nice to get your input also instead of just one dimension. Okay?
all right. Well, I like to see 4 and 5 stay on it for the joint session. Just because, like I said, I like council to know what the process is. And then,
Well, I guess if we're gonna keep 4 and 5 on, then I'm gonna learn what the process is on June 2nd.
yeah, we all will, if I'm wrong in the process. All 3 entities gotta vote yes, and that's a pretty simple process.
I mean, I think we're looking at some of these questions from different angles. I think that's the problem here.
I agree. I do think the city council does, I can respect, like you said, city council's request on items 4 and 5 to kind of know exactly what has passed, and we can't really update on the process, but we can let them know what the process has looked like with the most recent acquisition. So that information, I think, is fair and reasonable to discuss and to have on the table. I do think the best route, I think both votes on the acquisition territory and on the resolution to not consider a sale of the utility were unanimous votes. So in that respect, it states what Tom and I's opinion were on both of those votes and resolutions, correct? So I would tend to agree with Tom, but I think the best course of action is for you to sit down with Keith, have a meeting to discuss those two resolutions, those two votes, how they went down and what was included in them. That should get you up to speed with where we are, because I think that they were both unanimous votes. And if that's still not the case, then maybe in our June meeting, we can plan for a closed session to discuss those items.
Well, the opinion made by DGR, is, I trust DGR. I mean, I've worked with them for 3 years there, so they've served us well. It's still my opinion. I guess I didn't necessarily get the idea of moving forward. The letter was a little weak for me as far as to make a decision to move forward on something. I still didn't like that ballpark. I mean, if we're gonna overcome and really create a war out there, because from what we're hearing, the people don't want this to happen. Nick, Jenny has done a lot of work facing that. The mayor was proved wrong with his acquisitions.
Oh, no, sir. So first off.
From what I heard and read, that's what I.
That's not what I heard. What happened in regards to that situation was that the customer did have conversations. I was quoted, I was named in that letter. I did have conversations with them. They were supportive of it. They ultimately had a meeting with Connexus, changed their mind, never told me, never told the mayor that he changed his mind. So when the mayor made his statement, he wasn't aware that the situation had changed. He said what his last conversation was.
I thought I heard that he just talked to him the other day, but anyway, that's not what the conversation's about. So we're sitting here, if we're gonna accept all this, then let's move forward and accept it.
Well, I just want to, in my mind, 4 and 5 there do not bring up the word Connexus. It's just talking about the process.
But then we can, I agreed with that, 100%, but then we can't agree with the back and forth debating and you can't bring that up because we don't have a Connexus with this.
Correct.
Yeah.
So Tom, Jack's right that you just don't bring it up. It's not referencing.
Yeah.
With that said, moving forward with June 2nd, I would accept this.
Okay.
I'm still, June 2nd is still not a good.
Well, let's continue through
Yep.
item number by number to make sure we're on the same page. So at this point, we are going to, at this point, 4 and 5, we can leave on the table for discussion.
Yeah.
Again, Nick, you kind of pass along that some of these things are difficult to talk specifics.
Yeah, I wrote down conversation in general, not
Yep.
about specific.
Okay, perfect.
Mhm.
Number 6, a discussion on the communication protocol for the city and PUC when taxpayers and ratepayers inquire about city and PUC services, issues, and concerns. And
I think that's when they call up these guys and say, why is my sewer bill 5 times the amount, right?
that can be part of that discussion.
And
I
it's
think.
also when a council member hears about an act, the council member does not bring that action or that concern to us before rolling it out in public.
Mhm.
Kind of to the situation you were just alluding to.
Mhm. So certainly, are we okay with 6 being on the agenda?
Yep.
Yep, okay. That takes care of that. Let's backtrack to memorandum 2617.
So we start at 1 again.
We can start at 1 because June 2nd is 4 business days away. You have concerns with that.
I just think it's tight. I mean, if we're gonna ask for people, we gotta push it out.
I would agree it's tight. I think that's a difficult ask when we have information we need to provide. I mean, you would want possibly some time, based on the discussion, maybe to speak with Damien about his input on question 1 and some other things. So is it possible, Keith, to leave this to further discussion between you and Michelle in terms of what types of other dates are possible?
Yes, I guess I would request some, if the commission could help me narrow that in a little bit.
What days are Connexus meeting?
It's in the July study session.
July 14th.
14.
So I guess my question would be, do you want to have this before? Or does that not matter, in which case the August work session?
Mhm.
I would love to see June 2nd stay, and it is what it is. What we get out of it, we get out of it, we take that information and move forward with it. If we wait and postpone the June 2nd, then the 14th gets postponed, I would think, maybe not, doesn't have to be.
Not a guarantee, but
Yeah.
I'm sure there would be some pushback.
I think I believe Michelle's memo states that an invitation will be extended to Connexus next week to attend to July 14th.
Right.
So
That's what I have.
I heard that, yeah, I heard that was set,
Okay.
was my understanding.
How about if we, I suppose we get, how about if we, would you accept like a June 17th one, but a late night meeting?
I wouldn't. I hear the council saying when, and I think we owe it to them as a body to at least respect that date and answer whatever we can. I think they're going to not respect us if this is postponed.
Is this June 2nd part of one of your regular meetings?
Study session.
They moved it because of the parade on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be what time at night?
4:30.
Yeah,
4:30.
4:30 is when the study sessions are.
We have a couple items where we have to provide information, clearly items number 2 and 3. Is more like we discussed pulling that information out of our 2025 letter, summary
Yeah, I
letter.
would just issue that, so that's done.
That's done.
If we just do the January.
Do you feel like there's other items you would need additional time to prepare?
As long as everybody understands that it's just going to be a very superficial, high-level analysis, then it can work. It all comes down to expectation. Again, forgive me, the academic in me thinks in terms of numbers.
Yeah.
I've always looked at the joint meetings as a way for the commission and the council to talk, not for the administrators to give presentations. I think it's more important for you folks to build those relationships. But so if I give a high level and then the two bodies can talk, then that can work.
Okay. Do you think these high-level talks are going to be acceptable in a June 2nd meeting, or did you get more of the flavor that no, we want to get specific about? For sure.
Same with what Mr. Schwartz was saying about maybe going forward, we look at is even something where we would want 2 meetings a year if we have topics or a need, or special meetings if there's like a urgent matter, or like, I don't think there was a pressing concern that we need to have all of these topics in depth discussed immediately. I think it was more high level for these, and I think the point again was specifically about us meeting with Connexus and wanting to give you the opportunity to weigh in to the council on how you feel about that.
Okay. Circle back. I mean, we have Tom. Are you still feeling like additional time is needed? If that
I'm good, I guess, if Keith is good for trying to get time. But if not, then I'd like to see it pushed out at least a week or something. Just before the before the Connexus meeting. But if staff does feel that they don't need extra time.
Do you feel that you need or you want a meeting to discuss with us that topic, Connexus?
If that's gonna be a topic for
Just
Connexus, that's gonna be a topic.
Right, not the broader things.
This
that are
meeting
being
should not
discussed.
have the word Connexus too much in it.
Right.
Sure, but I think that's what the intent of meeting with you before our meeting with the third party was, so you could weigh in. So would you want a
I think our
meeting to be
weigh-in
able
is
to
telling
do
you
that?
the process.
Sure.
Yeah,
Or would it be like, would you want maybe just a letter to the city expressing, because you already did a resolution? Is there, do you want to, I don't know, is a meeting useful as a statement to the city, like, we don't support that you're meeting with them?
well, we don't need to support whether you're
I
meeting
know,
with them. I mean,
I'm-
seriously, you know, you guys are your own counsel, and we respect your, you know, you're seeking out any information that you think is valuable for the city, and that, I mean, that's a valid thinking point. You know, in our resolution, we clearly stated why we didn't want to consider a sale. You know, we listed points of emphasis in terms of, you know, local control, local government, governance.
Service quality?
Yep, quality of service, hometown service, you know, people who are ingrained in our community, know the community. We're not just gonna be numbers out there. This means more to us than that. I mean, I think we stated that pretty clearly in the resolution, so, you know, you know, going back to discussion point, 5, a discussion to sell, you know, this board has made, now granted, Rick wasn't serving at the time that we passed that resolution, and he's not fully aware of it, so we can bring him up to speed on that, however we decide it, but, I mean, that resolution's passed, so, I mean, to talk about, I don't want to get into obtuse conversations, if you guys are wanting to consider moving forward with discussions on those, you know, we passed a resolution that said we weren't interested, so, you know, so that discussion point's probably not gonna be real long, but it can be discussed. Yeah,
What's your
Resolutions.
feeling?
my feeling on June 2nd, I'll be quite honest. Obviously, there's people on the board that are very interested in talking with Connexus about, I don't know if they're more money to talk, if they're talking about the sale, then, you know, we passed our resolution, so, you know, there's obviously a little bit of a sticky wicket there. I'm actually, and I don't know, with all due respect to everybody involved, I kind of agreeing with Rick. I'd just as soon have the meeting. If they're gonna be high-level discussions, try and get on the same page with where we're at and what we're thinking on these points. We'll reiterate, you know, that we passed a resolution. That gets kind of difficult for Rick to, you know, raise his hand in unity that he, you know, is, you know, 100% behind the resolution that we passed.
Well, I think you're in favor of not selling, I mean, right? Nothing else. You would not,
I would not sell
yeah.
Yeah.
utility.
So, I mean, he's still in the high level area.
Yeah.
To fill him back in on what we're, and where we're at in negotiations, that's, to me, it's two separate worlds.
Yeah, and it can be as simple as making the city council aware of those resolutions, even if they already received it, and make sure they're sent out to me again. You may have done it already, but, you know, I can read those and understand them and feel caught up.
Okay.
Because that's gonna make a big difference. I don't need to talk for an hour just to say, you know, give me those resolutions and I'll form an opinion.
Okay. So I'm actually okay with going forward with the June 2nd, just to have it, just so we can get it. We can, yeah, start these discussions. It feels like there's a little separation right now between, I mean, I'm not afraid to say it. I feel like there's a little bit of there's some blocks up between us, and I would prefer those not be there. And let's at least discuss the points at the same time and see if we can't get on the same page, or at least respect for each other. If there's differences of opinion, just acknowledge them and move forward. So, okay, that'd be my opinion, but we'll
All right,
still need
so
one.
we're on,
Now, Keith, in your memorandum 2617, you had some additional possible topics to bring up in this joint meeting, correct?
Yes, just a couple of, again, just trying to keep the commission informed as to whether you want to expand that list. There are a couple of outstanding items that have not been completed yet. The first is that the city had approved doing it's more of a long-term financial plan, which included a sewer rate study. We had agreed to partner with the city on that and do a water rate study at the same time. That was supposed to be a last year activity. That hasn't been completed yet, so just some feedback from the city as to if that is still an activity that the city council is going to pursue. If not, my recommendation to the commission would be we haven't done a water rate study in a while, and I think regardless, we should do one next year. Love to do it in partnership with the city, but again, not knowing the timing, it's kind of hard for us to plan on that. The second is the self-storage lot title. We had discussions about transferring that into the utilities name so that we can move forward on our future space needs analysis that we had completed last year. And that storage lot, we provided all the documentation to the city showing that the utility had paid for all of those costs, have indemnified the city for any environmental impacts from the previous landowner. We've paid assessments on that, we've taken care of, maintained it. But I don't know that the commission is really interested in building anything on there until we have a clean title.
It's right on here.
Yeah, it's right there. So an update as to how that could move forward. And then in addition, the city has proposed increasing the franchise fee and creating a stormwater management fee, both of which I've shared the memos with the commission. That obviously can impact our billing as well as our administrative operations, and may warrant a discussion regarding the implementation, the timing, and what impacts that has to ratepayers and taxpayers, and what that means for us. So a couple ideas. Again, I think somebody alluded to it earlier. I'm not doing this because I want a 6-hour meeting, but I wanted to make sure that those issues stay on your radar.
Thoughts about adding those two to the
Yeah,
6 items?
My hope, and I know this one's kind of a kerfuffle for now, but my hope going forward is we're all bringing like our questions and just maybe meeting semi-regularly so we're on the same page, like you said. Just down the road, hopefully it'll be a little cleaner, but I think that makes sense.
Okay. Well, then I think we're ready for a possible.
So I should add those to the proposal.
Well, I think we need a motion to, one, set that these are the 8 items we're considering, and a motion that we would stick with the June 2nd meeting.
Which is gonna make our bill look more expensive.
well, that's on the agenda to talk about yet, right?
But yes, so the communication side of that, I think, is pretty important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a possible motion from anyone?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Please.
Just, again, just for some clarification. The only person outside of whoever's here is the city attorney for item 1. Is there any other items in which the commission, I just want to make sure I'm clear on this.
That's what I was just looking at, number 4 of your
Correct.
letter,
Correct.
where we talk about the PFAS.
Yeah, so if the city attorney is there, does the commission want our attorney there? I guess is my question. Is that needed at this point?
Sometimes I get, we're all family, right? So one attorney, one bill. I mean, I don't know why we need our attorney.
And not that I think anything will go wrong, but if some topic started to stray into left field that you don't want to discuss, maybe
Well, then your attorney should know that, right?
is, yeah, who,
It just costs money to have attorneys sit next to you.
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I think at this point, I don't see the need at this point. We can,
Like I said, I hope we're all the same family, the same city.
yeah, but sometimes we can put our foot in our mouths and mention something we're not supposed to. And that's usually why for my regular job, I like to have an attorney nearby to like slap me in the back of the head and get but just in legal matters. But I don't, yeah, we're not discussing anything too concerning.
And then at Peace Boss, don't we have that one company that we work with?
Bolton and Bank, yeah.
I mean, give us a brief 15, 10-minute where we're at, or
For
what
this
were you-
meeting?
Yeah, what were you thinking?
I think.
No, I was just giving that as an example,
Oh,
that we have brought in experts before for the joint meeting, so if you want, yeah.
I
But
think
if-
that,
If we decide needed for this one.
yeah, that would be like something we want August, then if you want to dive in deeper on stuff.
Okay.
The DGR, though, would that be one that they might want to know about how, or even SIMPA, how we buy our electricity, how volume affects our rate and stuff, or is that not something we want to do? Or is that another?
I guess what I would suggest on that one is whenever, and the commission may remember this, every once in a while SIPA does a SIPA 101 webinar. I do share that with the city.
Okay,
So if any city council member ever wants to participate in MMUA events, SIPA events, I do share that stuff with Michelle, and I hope, I have no reason to doubt she doesn't share that with the city council. So they are given opportunities to get up to speed on that, to hear it from other outside parties, and can go into more detail on what I do.
And I would say this, if the city ever wanted more information on that, we could have Simple come possibly to a meeting, not for June 2nd, that wouldn't be appropriate for this one. But yeah, I mean, if that was information that the city council ever found valuable to understand how we acquire our power and distribute our power, or any questions at all.
And both SIPA and MMUA have told me multiple times that if any member ever wants them to come up and give a presentation to the commission, to the city council, to whoever, they're happy to work with us.
So I just put that in your brain when you're talking to city
because
citizens. If anybody has questions within the council, that'd be something we could do in a future joint meeting.
Because there's new council members, and they might not even know why we have generators sitting here on call. You know, or
Yeah.
they turn on just like our last.
It's just there, you flip the switch,
Yeah,
it's there.
it's there. I plug in my coffee pot and it works. And it's just,
Or if the grid ever went down,
Yeah.
we're gonna keep the city moving, because we
Yeah.
have
we have
We
the
have
capability to keep
generation.
everybody going.
capabilities here, so, yeah. All stuff that is very pertinent to the existence of PUC.
Are you comfortable, Keith, with what, off these 5 points here that you have in your letter, but any other one?
I feel like I've gotten direction from the commission that
Okay.
All right?
We have to make a motion or anything on this?
I think we have to make a motion to accept the June 2nd meeting. because-
So technically what you need to do is you need to make a motion to have a meeting on June 2nd at 4:30 PM over at City Hall.
Okay.
And then Kathy and I will take care of the rest.
To response to the invite.
Well,
Just that we're gonna have a meeting.
You need,
So
really
they
all
can
you
be-
can do
oh,
is
that- yeah,
report
Because we're
Got it,
three of them
got
in
it,
the
yeah,
same
yeah,
room.
yeah.
Yeah, so then you're gonna have a meeting.
Yeah, got it.
I make the motion that we have a meeting on June 2nd at 4:30 at City Hall.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And that is everything on our agenda.
Good. We gotta talk
Oh.
about franchise fees.
No, that was all
That was all part of,
joint- that was part of, that's essentially item 7 and 8 on the meeting.
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Do I have a motion?
Motion adjourned?
Sure. Motion adjourned.
Seconded, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, motion, or, you're adjourned.